Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Taking Nugenix Total T makes a huge difference for me.
Nugenix? That's the testosterone booster with TV ads with Frank Thomas, right? Are they still giving out complimentary bottles?
Yes.
Text radio to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix.
Brought to you by Navage. Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio is the place to turn to weekdays for the latest agriculture news and markets. Being a member of the National Association of Farm Broadcasters, we take pride in making sure you're informed of the latest news from the world of agriculture. Whether it's local, state, regional, or national, if it affects your farm or ranch, you can count on hearing it here. Daily reports from Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio are made possible by Farmers State Bank, Norder Supply of Scott City, Cornerstone Ag, and Woofter Construction and Irrigation.
As a customer-owned cooperative, Midwest Energy members elect their board of directors. Ballots for this year's director election are in the mail and must be completed and returned by October 4th. Election results will be announced at our annual meeting on Monday, October 21st, 10 a.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn in Hayes. We'll give away great door prizes, and all Midwest members are invited to attend. Midwest Energy, a customer-owned cooperative, making energy work for you.
Whether you're buying your first house or your retirement dream home, we know the importance of getting a mortgage you can live with. At F&B Bank, our goal is to make your financing search quick and enjoyable, from the terms to the personal attention along the way. Give me, Brett Lampy, a call at 785-890-5616 to apply today. F&B Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
They're having one hail of a sale at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. That's right, a hail sale where you can get massive savings on a new vehicle. For example, get a 23 GMC Sierra 1500 up to $20,000 off when you trade in eligible vehicle, now just over $37,000. A new 24 Chevy Tahoe RST, $13,000 off, now just over $59K. Plus 24 Chevy Traverse RS, $10,000 off, now just over $45,000. Plus many more. It's one hail of a sale at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Online at hurlchev.com.
Even though your attention has turned back to school with events and activities, you just can't forget everything going on at home. That's where your local Hoover Lumber Ace hardware stores in Goodland and Colby come in. Keep the lawn in check with mowers, blowers, and trimmers from Craftsman, Toro, and Ego. They are still your local Benjamin Moore paint retailer, and they still have that amazing selection of outdoor grills and griddles from Traeger, Weber, and Blackstone. Plus, their helpful and knowledgeable staffs are some of the best in the Northwest. It's all at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby. Open every day but Sunday.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery ingestion and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at
from Kansas Honor Flight. I want you to get up off your duff and get your veteran application submitted to us for a fabulous free 3-day trip to Washington, D.C. to visit your memorials. You're not getting any younger. You did not have to be in country. You were serving our great nation. Go to kansashonorflight.org or call 620-546-2400.
You ready? 1, 2, 3, 4!
It's the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Give me my cane. I'll show you how to play this game.
The region's only local sports talk.
Dynamite drop-in at broadcast school has really paid off.
Broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 102.5, simulcasting on Goodland's 730 Gold KLOE.
Guy is everywhere.
Discussing it all from the preps.
Touchdown, the Cowboys!
To the pros.
And Tendy back on the track. It's out of here! Bobby Witt Jr. delivers a go-ahead grand slam!
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, as well as the Insurance Agency, Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work.
Good heat on it. Far side to McCarty. The swing through the double block of Schick and Bierman, and down for another kill. 9 kills for Taylor McCarty in this match.
Oh, high fly ball left field, hooking into the corner. It is gone for a grand slam. Hobby baseball waiting for a cookie.
Linton with a good dig. They set it backside, far side for Rickard. Great swing and kill down the near side. Great cross-court attack from Ricky.
The shotgun snap, the center block, the line drive throw, far side, caught, touchdown at the pylon. London caught it chest high, touchdown, Atlanta. 34 seconds to go. They've tied the game.
Pitch to Brendan Rodgers is a cue shot towards second. They'll get one. The throw gets away to first. Doyle scores, and that's the game.
Then good Tuesday morning, everybody. Glad you could join us here on the Morning Blitz. Broadcasting, of course, on Goodland's Rocket 102.5, 730 Gold, KLOE. Also on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream through X, Facebook, and YouTube, and the NWKSradio.net. So glad you could join us. Anyway, you are doing so here on this September the 17th. We've got 67 degrees outside to get our day rolling on our way to a high of 90. Temperatures expected to be low 90s, mid 90s the last couple days, and then maybe the upper 80s as we make our way towards the end of the week. I even saw some possible 70-degree temperatures coming our way as we get into the weekend, which will be lovely. I would love that. That would be fantastic. But thank you so much for tuning in for the next hour or so with us here on the Morning Blitz, where we will welcome in Shreyas Laddha of the Kansas City Star. He's a beat reporter for the Kansas Jayhawks. It's been a rough couple of weeks for Lance Leipold's crew, and we will get the latest from Shreyas Laddha on what's going on in Lawrence when it comes to Jayhawk football. Got some interesting thoughts on Monday Night Football and the a few NFL storylines as well, which we'll get to here at the end of the show on our final segment and in the walk-off. Monday Night Football last night was a very interesting game that shouldn't have probably been that interesting, but we'll get to that coming up in the back end of our program here today. As always, if you'd like to be a part of the Morning Blitz, we'd love to hear from you. Get your thoughts, your comments, your questions, opinions, whatever it may be. Hit us up on the FNB Bank text line, the number 785-899-2222. In fact, the FNB Bank text line already getting warmed up this morning as we have a texter chiming in saying a Monday night winner, Coach Kerry Jones and Colby Community College Volleyball moving up to 6th in the rankings. And that would be the highest ever ranking in program history. So moving from 7th up to 6th in yesterday's rankings, the highest ever in program's history. Yeah, they're doing some special things over there at CCC Volleyball. They really are. Not that I was planning on talking about this, but I did see they moved up into the rankings to number 6. But, once again, making it to the national tournament last year for the first time, and I don't know how many years that was, a long, like 30 plus years, making it to the national tournament, might even been more. And now to be a top 6 team, it's very good. They've done a great job of recruiting internationally, finding very good players from around the world, not just around the United States, bringing in girls from South America, from over in Europe. Did a great job recruiting those girls, bringing them in, and then Coach Jones and her staff getting them to play together as one. Yes, I would agree. A salute to a winner there, a winner for Coach Jones and Colby Community College Volleyball. Congratulations on their highest ranking in program history, sitting at number 6 now in the NJCAA Division I volleyball rankings. All right, we got lots to get to here in our first segment, and we will get to it all with the front page.
Read all about it. Read all about it.
The top stories of today.
I got the early edition, hot off the press.
It's the front page on the Morning Blitz.
Front page, really? Colby and Goodland and a few of the area teams were competing on the volleyball court last night. Colby made quick work of Hill City at the event center. Lady Eagles winning 25-8, 25-10, 25-10 to improve their season record to 7-3 this year so far. They have looked very good throughout most of the season. And honestly, they should. I mean, we talked about Colby Community College Volleyball. It's been a great start to the year for Colby High School Volleyball, and it really should be. This is a team that has played a lot together, a young volleyball team that grew up together as freshmen and sophomores are now seniors mostly, and a few juniors sprinkled in. They should be playing some of their best volleyball right now, and it looks like that's what they are doing. Sitting at 7-3, a dominant win over Hill City. I think they play again. It's not tonight, but I think it might be later this week. They might have Hoxie or something like that. I'll have to look at the schedule, but they have stuff coming up here where they're going to get a little bit more, some very interesting matches against some very talented, good teams. There's some really good volleyball here in Northwest Kansas. Colby's having a very good season. Shilen's a very good team. More on them in just a little bit. St. Francis is having a good year. Wheatland Grinnell's been a staple for a long time on how good they have been. Wallace County's had some good programs here. There's some very good volleyball here in Northwest Kansas, and it's shown out by making it to the state tournament and competing well at the state tournament. And Colby now kind of adding themselves to the list this year, having a really good start to this 2024 season. The Goodland Cowgirl volleyball team, they had a tough night last night. They hosted a triangular with McCook, Nebraska, as well as Shilen. Cowgirls lose both matches in 3 sets. They would take set 1 in both of those matches. Versus McCook, they won 27-25, despite being really out of sorts most of that first set, found a way to win it, but then would lose 25-20 and 25-15 in sets 2 and 3 versus McCook. So they lose that first match against McCook, and then later on in the evening, they took on Shilen, and they would win the first set convincingly, 25-15, but would lose 25-20, 26-24 in set 3, as the Cougars would get the win over the Cowgirls, which, salute to Shilen. That's a nice win for them. They got swept by McCook in their other match, but that's a nice win for Shilen, which was, by the way, the smallest school there by a long ways. I mean, Goodland's a 3A school, and honestly, probably McCook is probably a 4A or 5A school in comparison in the Nebraska ranks. It's one of the bigger schools on the, at least if you look at the totality of school size in Nebraska, it's one of the bigger schools in the state. So that was really high competition for Shilen. Come out with one of those wins is very good. And they had probably the best athlete on the floor, Taylor McCarty. She was very impressive. I had her tallied for, I think, 11 kills, 10 or 11 kills in the match against Goodland, and 3 aces. She was very good. But if you're a Goodland Cowgirl volleyball fan, there's plenty of things on the docket to try and get right as you get ready to go into the Russell tournament here this weekend. Cowgirls, first and foremost, have to get better at just simply passing. That's the biggest thing. And Coach Brumbaugh was talking to me before the game. We talked about it after the game, that, hey, we have to become a better passing team. We have to be able to serve, receive. We have to be able to pass it to our setter, and we have to be able to set it in the right spot in order to get a good attack. Right now, the passing has been an issue, and it was really rough in the McCook match. Very, very rough. They cleaned it up much better in the Shilen match. But then in the Shilen match, and also as well in the McCook one a little bit, was service errors. I mean, way too many service errors. You can't be giving that many free points away. You just can't be. It happens at all the levels. I like to watch college volleyball a lot of the times, and best programs, Stanford, Nebraska, K-State, KU, who's really good this year. They all do it. They put it in the net, and you're just like, why in the world are you doing that? And you just got to get it over. I know sometimes at the collegiate level, they're trying to hit specific spots and aim for a certain person. And, when you aim, that's usually when you have trouble. It's kind of like pitching. But at the high school level, you just need to get it over and not hurt yourself. And the Cowgirls did that. I think they had 10 service errors to my account in the loss to Shilen. So the service errors, the tough passing was not good for the Cowgirls, who dropped both their matches last night. And like I said, plenty of things to work on, but they have pieces there. I mean, they really do. They have some nice pieces. Libby Cure had a great second match against Shilen. Lauren Linton's got the ability. She's just got to find a way to hit her spots when she is on the attack. Freshman McKenna Schick is a very talented young player. She's very good. She does a lot. She's good at the net. She's very, very good on the attack. I like watching her very well. But Cowgirls got to clean up a lot of the fundamentals here over the course of the season. Luckily, you're only, I think, 7 games in. Now you are 1-6, but you're 7 games in. time to get these things cleaned up so you're playing better when it matters most when you get into October. So, once again, rough night for Goodland. They go 0-2. Shiloh goes 1-1. McCook gets both wins last night down here in Kansas. So tonight, it's a very busy night of volleyball. You've got the Shiloh Quadrangular. Tri-Plains Brewster, Logan, Palco, and Weskin are going to be there. Hoxie heads to TMP for a triangular with Russell. Wallace County has a triangular with St. Francis and Greeley County. Quinter will host a tri with Ness City and Otis Bison. And Golden Plains is at Northern Valley's triangular with with Victoria, and then Oakley has a triangular as well today with Hill City. I'm not for sure who the other team is, but I think Oakley's got a try today as well. So, like I said, a full slate of volleyball here tonight with pretty much every team back on the court for the most part. Moving on to the links, where the great season continues for the Goodland Cowgirl golf team. They win the Ulysses Girls Golf Invitation at Bentwood Golf Course. Very good showing from GHS as they had 4 of the top 5 golfers in the final individual results. Tori Jones, an 86, which is 14 over par, led the way. Allie Cure shot an 88. She came in second. Natalie Cure finished in fourth with a 90. Those 3 carried the water for the Cowgirls. Sadie Cedarstrom did have a solid showing. She came in 12th with a 101. But those 3 for sure, Natalie and Allie Cure and Tori Jones, carried the water to lift the Cowgirls to an 18-stroke victory over Colby, who had a really good showing themselves. Logan Nolan came in third with an 89. Natalie Wadersky finished in fifth with a 94. And then they had Claire Denny and Braylon Stupka both finished with 100, so they tied for 10th. So they had 4 golfers, give or take, in the top 10 or 11. But it was the top 3 for Goodland that carried the weight to help push them over the top. Goodland finished with a combined score of 365. Colby with a 388. And those 2 teams are head and shoulders above everybody else that they've played so far most of the time this season, team-wise. Cimarron finished in third. They finished with 427. So that's a good almost 50 strokes behind, between second and third place. So Colby and Goodland are the cream of the class, or the cream of the crop this year, at least when it comes to golf out in here in Northwest Kansas. Now, Amelia Bowles is probably one of the best, if not the best individual golfer from Rawlins County. She's been fantastic all season long, and she's going to be very, very good. But when you look at it team-wise, it's going to come down to Colby and Goodland. Who continues to improve, particularly your 3, 4, 5 golfers in your roster? Who improves the most there over the coming weeks before you hit to the postseason in October? Who improves the most? That's going to be the big thing, in my opinion. Because if you get great improvement out of your 3, 4, 5, of course your scores are going to get lower, meaning you're going to move up in the spot in the team results. So it really does come down to your 3. Your 1, 2, and sometimes 3 golfers are going to be pretty solid, near the top 10, if not in it for sure. What do you do? What are the ones that are trying to maybe make it into the top 20, or making it into the top 15, or maybe the top 10? That's the big thing going forward, I think, for both Goodland and Colby golf teams, who once again are head and shoulders above all the other combined teams kind of from this region at this point in time in the golfing slate. We had news yesterday, of course, breaking with our good friend Nick Athen talking about Chiefs running back Isaiah Pacheco, saying that he is expected to miss between 6 to 8 weeks of the season with a fractured fibula. And so he's probably going to go on injured reserve, but he'll be able to return here a little bit later on this season. That's not really the breaking news. We all know that they have Carson Steele and Samaje Perine at running back. We talked about that yesterday. They still have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but he's on the non-football injury list, so he'd have to wait till week 5 against the Saints for him to come back. So the Chiefs are turning to an old friend, I guess. Kareem Hunt is apparently going to be in Kansas City today, or is in Kansas City today, for a visit with the staff and with Coach Reed and the people there to see if maybe it'd be a fit for him to come back and play for the Chiefs. Of course, Kareem had a great start to his career there. And then, of course, the off-field issues put him behind the 8 ball. He then went to Cleveland, where he was okay. But he certainly had a great start to the career there in Kansas City. And would he be able to come back and fill the gap left by Isaiah Pacheco. I don't know. It's going to be kind of a running back by committee. I think Carson Steele can probably do it. He's a hammer type back. I think he could do a lot of that. So I don't have an issue with him possibly getting a lot of the totes. Samaje Perine can be your third down guy. And I don't know. And then if Kareem Hunt, I guess, if he fits the bill and they like what they hear, then go ahead and do it. Especially if he would be a welcomed addition, I guess, would be my point. So anyway, so news that Kareem Hunt could possibly be back in a Chiefs uniform all these years later. Time heals all wounds, it feels like. All right, and our final stop here on the front page on this Tuesday morning, onto the diamond. Last night, the Rockies, a walk-off winner, 3-2, thanks to an error by Arizona's Geraldo Perdomo. Almost turned a double play to end the game and get the win, or at least send it to extras, and instead sailed her over first base, and the Rockies get the win 3-2 in the bottom of the ninth inning. Rockies have looked pretty good here as of late for the most part. Yesterday, Antonio Senzatella, remember that name? Been out with Tommy John surgery, pitched his first innings of this season, went 3 innings, gave up just 2 runs on 4 hits with a couple of walks and 2 strikeouts. The bullpen, though, very good. Combined work of 6 innings for Rockies bullpen, just 4 hits, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. Very well done by the Rockies bullpen, which has kind of been retooled a little bit. Molina, Peralta, and Halverson, guys you haven't heard a lot of, did a really good job against a potent Arizona Diamondback lineup that's kind of, I don't know, to an extent, has been potent all season, but here as of late has kind of struggled a little bit. And the Rockies, by the way, they've won 4 of their last 5. That series continues today at 6:40 Mountain Time there from Coors Field. And the Royals, well, they couldn't take advantage of another monster night from their MVP candidate. Bobby Witt Jr. goes 2 for 4 and drives in 5, including a grand salami. But unfortunately, it is the bullpen that can't really hold on. And the pitching for Seth Lugo was not his best. He gave up 4 runs on 8 hits. Seth Long came in there and gave up 3 runs on 3 hits. So the bullpen was not great. Lugo wasn't his sharpest. And the Tigers come back to beat the Royals 7-6, just by Kansas City leading 5-1 going into the 5th inning. 3 runs in the 5th and 3 runs in the 6th for Detroit. Helped push them over the top. And Kansas City had opportunities. They stranded runners in the 7th and the 8th innings. So no timely hits for Kansas City. And Sam Long in the bullpen with Seth Lugo not being as sharp as he is led to the Royals' 7-6 loss to the Tigers. That series continues tonight at 6:40 Central Time on AM 790 KXXX. You can watch and listen to that game there between the Tigers and the Royals. There you go. That's the front page here on this Tuesday morning. We're right at the bottom of the hour. 8:29 Central, 7:29 Mountain Time, on our way to a high of 89, currently 67 and sunny outside here in the tri-state region. We'll take a first time out, come back. Shreya Salata, our good friend from the Kansas City Star, is going to join us next to talk Jayhawk football. What has gone on the last couple of weeks, and can it get corrected? Can the Jayhawks get back on course as they begin Big 12 play? We'll discuss it next with him. You're listening to The Morning Blitz.
Even though your attention has turned back to school with events and activities, you just can't forget everything going on at home. That's where your local Hoover Lumber Ace hardware stores in Goodland and Colby come in. Keep the lawn in check with mowers, blowers, and trimmers from Craftsman, Toro, and Ego. They are still your local Benjamin Moore paint retailer, and they still have that amazing selection of outdoor grills and griddles from Traeger, Weber, and Blackstone. Plus, their helpful and knowledgeable staffs are some of the best in the Northwest. It's all at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby. Open every day but Sunday.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning, this is Kate Thompson with the Anderson Trade Group. Today is Tuesday, September 17th. And on the overnight last night, December corn traded higher a half cent at 4.11 1/4. March up a half at 4.29 3/4. May up a half at 4.40 3/4. And July corn up a quarter at 4.46 3/4. November beans up 3 3/4 on the overnight at 10.08 1/4. January up 4 at 10.27 1/2. March up 3 1/2 at 10.41 1/2. And May up 3 3/4 at 10.56. Chicago wheat, the December contract higher 2 3/4 at $5.81 1/4. March up 3 1/4 at $6. May up 2 1/2 at $6.10 3/4. July up 3 1/4 at $6.17. Kansas City wheat, the December contract higher 3 cents at $5.83 1/2. March up 2 3/4 at $5.96 1/4. May up 2 3/4 at $6.03 1/4. July up 3 1/4 at $6.08 1/4. On the stock market this morning, the Dow up $126 at 42,186. The S&P up 22 at 5,722. The Nasdaq up $123 at 19,788. Gold lower $5.60 an ounce at 2,603. And crude oil up 16 cents a barrel at 70.25. If you have any questions about marketing grain or to talk about risk management options, give our Colorado office a call, John Hankey or John Stiles at 970-744-4484, or in our Kansas City office, myself, Tom Sluto, Jared Law, or Tyler Ghosh at 913-748-3000.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor and or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
When challenging conditions arise, we don't back down. We up our game. Outpacing the competition with innovations fueled by Bayer's R&D, keeping you equipped with an expanded portfolio, elite genetics, and additional local test plots. Channel leads the field, so you can rise above. See how you can save at channel.com/finance24. Read and follow pesticide label directions, grain marketing, and other stewardship practices.
Out here, we raise stronger people, stronger crops, and we proudly raise our flag to that. Let the weather, pests, and pressures try to beat us down. We only keep growing up. With the next-gen genetics, the pure acre-for-acre know-how of these soils, and a deep pride of our roots, we are born to raise at Hogemeyer. Learn more at therightseed.com.
At Nextech Wireless, you are in the driver's seat. With all the latest devices, the choice is yours. You pick between 18, 24, or 36-month terms and get your device on us. Nextech Wireless. Home on the range.
You're listening to the Morning Blitz.
Want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
With Ross Volkmer.
8:33 Central, 7:33 Mountain Time here on this Tuesday morning. So glad you're with us on the Morning Blitz. We'll get to some thoughts as week number 2 wrapped up in the NFL season and some storylines that came out yesterday in our final segment. Want to talk some college football with our good friend from the KC Star. He covers the Kansas Jayhawks for them. That'd be Shreyas Latta, who joins us now on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline. Shreyas, good morning. How are we doing today?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. How's life treating you over there on the eastern side of the state?
Not too bad. It's been a busy couple of weeks with everything going on with KU football. But other than that, it's been good.
How has the deal? I don't know. Maybe it hasn't impacted you very much, but the home games in Kansas City, how has that impacted you, if at all?
It's interesting. I actually do like seeing the games in Kansas City. It's been kind of fun to kind of watch it in that stadium. It's a little smaller, but it's intimate. The vibe is cool. The only thing is, it's more of a drive for me because I live in Lawrence, so making the drive down to Kansas City and back sometimes it takes a bit of time. But other than that, no complaints.
Yeah, I mean, how is the traffic and stuff getting there from Lawrence, and how would you say that whole process has been?
It's really not bad. I'm from Atlanta, so to me, Kansas and Kansas City traffic is nothing. So it really, maybe it's extra 2, 3, 5 minutes, then I'm like, okay, well, not too bad. But I typically get there pretty early, so I'm not sure if I'm the best assessment of traffic on that end. I'm usually there about 2 hours before the game starts.
No, that's actually a very valid point. What's the longest you've ever sat in traffic in ATL? I just a random question.
Probably an hour 30. 2
Oh
hours
my
or
gosh.
so.
How long of a trip was it? How long was the trip would have taken if there was no traffic?
It was supposed to be about an hour,
So an
but
extra
then
half hour.
I sat there for another extra hour 30.
Oh
It was
my
really bad.
gosh. So you spent 2.5 hours roughly in a car. Should have been an hour, took an hour and a
Yep.
half. Oh my. That's brutal. Absolutely brutal. Shreyas Lada, our guest here from the Kansas City Star. Well, speaking of brutal, it has not been the start I think many KU fans were hoping for after dominating Lindenwood out of the gates. It's been a couple of tough losses to, a solid Illinois team and a solid UNLV team. I mean, is the schedule maybe better than maybe people thought it was going to be on paper when the season started?
I do think it's better than the initial thoughts. I think Illinois is a better team than expected, and UNLV is pretty good. That said, Kansas, I think, in every aspect except quarterback play, and maybe penalties, seems like a better team than last year. I think with how bad the offense has looked the last 2 weeks, the fact that they were still in it despite having 5 turnovers, I think tells you all you need to know. The defense has looked really good. I think even better than last year. And I think, if you cut down from Jalen's turnovers from like maybe 5 to maybe 3 interceptions, they probably walk away with a victory at least in one of those games, the last 2 games.
Well, that no doubt is the biggest storyline so far of this season has been Jalen Daniels coming back and throwing a lot of picks. Is this been a surprise to Coach Leipold, or hey, he's rusty, he needs some time to work this out? And how do they go about getting him back to being the dynamic playmaker that he is in the passing? And we've seen his running game been great, but how do they go about making him both dynamic, both running and passing, without turning it over?
Yeah, I definitely do think it's a surprise. I know there was, no one expected him to be what he is right now. He had never played this bad in college football ever. Even his freshman year, I'm sure, when he was running for his life, he wasn't making mistakes like this. 6 interceptions in 3 games. He's thrown for 3 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. It's just not been the Jalen Daniels that we know he could be. Not the Heisman contender top guy in 2022, or the 800 yards he threw for and like 8 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, I think, in the first 3 games last year before he got hurt. I think it's definitely a adjustment period with Jeff Grimes as offensive coordinator. I definitely think, the play calling has not been as good as a lot of people hope for. But, I do think whatever it is, I don't know if it's something mental or if it's rust or, just something mechanical. I tried to figure out that answer this past weekend, calling all his different coaches and, including Brent Dearman, who worked in Kansas, his personal QB coach, his high school coach, all that. And, everyone says, we don't see anything mechanically wrong with Jalen. They think it's a slight mix of rust and, just him getting used to the new offensive system. I think this Saturday will be a really good test to see if he can right the ship. And if he doesn't right the ship, then Kansas has to really think about how they would proceed.
Shreyas Lada is our guest from the Kansas City Star. You bring up an interesting point about the offensive system, and with Jeff Grimes, the offensive coordinator. I mean, do you feel like there is a disconnect there? I mean, because initially, visiting with some other people, they were talking like, well, I think they're going to just run the same offense, but Grimes is going to be the one that's going to have to try to figure out how to call the game. And right now, it just doesn't seem like that's just gelling correctly. Do I get the right sense there?
I definitely do. I don't think I've seen more, wide receiver screens on second and whatever in my life. I think there is not really been a good balance. Like, I don't feel like there's a balance between the run and the pass play. Well, I think he did a good job to start off the game against UNLV, and then Jalen threw that pick, and it just all kind of fell apart. And I think Lance said this best, is the offense has really struggled to respond after making a mistake, which I think is a really important part, because Jalen has made a lot of uncharacteristic mistakes that he doesn't necessarily always make. I think there is definitely a, kind of like a vibe that it is like, like there's still an adjustment period and they're still trying to figure each other out. He's heavily scrutinized because right now the expectations for KU football were to compete for Big 12 title. And so maybe that can happen because conference play is starting this Saturday, but the way they're playing so far, it doesn't inspire as much confidence as what many thought. I think also it's really interesting to kind of see, in the Illinois game, they didn't run the ball enough. He admits to it that they should have run the ball more in clutch situations. So they come out and try to run a lot in the first half. But, I think there's been a lack of intermediate throws. Jalen's bread and butter the last few years when he's played has been that intermediate range. The tight ends haven't been as involved as last year. Obviously, Mason Fairchild was a big loss, but Trevor Cardell and Jared Casey, they have good hands. They just haven't been used in the games as much as they could have. And I think it's just, there's just so much going on with the offense, good and bad. It's hard to really properly assess fault. Is it Jalen's fault? Is it Jeff's fault? Is it Leipold's fault? Is it this? Is that? I don't know. But I do know this. I think I wrote about this yesterday, but Kansas was averaging 28 points per game in non-con play. Last year, that number was 37. The year before that, the number was 46 or something like that. It's just so much worse of an offense than we've seen from Kansas in the last 2 years.
Once again, we're joined by Shreyas Laddha on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware hotline here on the Morning Blitz this Tuesday. You bring up some just fascinating points. Shouldn't they? You say they're running the football, especially in the first half. They just need to saddle up Devin Neal more and ride him more, especially in the second half, because he's been fantastic. I mean, he's been great.
No, he's been phenomenal. He's played at an All-American type level. He hasn't, been utilized as much as he has. But I mean, even in the second half, I think UNLV was stuffing him a little more. I think they have to get a little more creative with the runs. A little more, maybe using him in the slot. I think they used him a little bit in the slot as a receiver last game, and he makes the most of it. I mean, I think I was talking to some people, and they were telling me like when Devin was getting recruited, the anticipation around him was he was a pass catching back, and I feel like Kansas does not utilize that skill as much as they should. And that's the one thing that NFL scouts have told him is like, we want to see you become more of a pass catching back. So I think that you can use him as dangerous as he is as a weapon in multiple ways, but I feel like Kansas hasn't really used him that way as much. And obviously Daniel Highshaw was out last week with an illness, so you could definitely see the drop off between him and Sevion Morris. And Sevion is a younger guy, and Highshaw is a vet. But I just don't think I feel like there's been a good balance of run pass outside of the Lindenwood game. And let's throw the Lindenwood game out the window because they played an FCS team. That's bad.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Defensively, though, I know you've mentioned earlier in our conversation the defense is much proven than it is, but boy, it really could not get off of hill when they needed it the most in that UNLV game. What was the issue there?
Well, I mean, I think it's a matter of, not taking advantage of opportunities, right? Like they have a dumb PI penalty I think it was Devin Dye who had that, like they stop him on that long third down, and then he just hits the guy in the end zone for no reason and extends the drive. That fumble was a comedy of errors. I wrote about it, but like it was like it was the perfect encapsulation. I can't say that word. Perfect, basically, viewpoint of what the season has been for Kansas football. That was just a comedy of errors. I mean, like they Robinson forces that fumble. A guy goes to try and pick it up, dives on it, it squirts out the way, and then I think another guy goes to get it, and it squirts into UNLV's hands. It's one of those things that you just look at and you're like, oh my God, like this is ridiculous. Just dive on that ball, and fundamental football. And it's that was lost in that play. But it's that stuff like that in the Illinois game where they had 2 drives that lasted 12 minutes in the fourth quarter. That's the stuff that has been the only issue of the defense. And I think, it goes back to the offense forcing the defense to play so much. And at a certain point, I think Devin Neal said this after the Illinois game, like if the defense is going to have to play all these minutes because the offense can't stay on the field, eventually they're going to break because they're exhausted and they're tired. And, like even then, if you take away, like Jalen his interceptions on UNLV basically led to 10 different points. It's in the Illinois game, it led to more, but he also had that pick six. So like still Kansas, like if you take away, let's say you take away 7 points because of that interception that Jalen had or whatever the defense gave. Like you're talking about a defense that's giving up less than 20 points. And same thing in the UNLV game. They are giving up less than 20 points. Like what more can you possibly ask for? This is an issue compounded by the offense that is not giving them the chance to breathe.
Once again, we're visiting Shreyas Latta of the Kansas City Star. The best part is, you kind of get a chance to reset. These have not been conference games. You get to start with the conference opener here against West Virginia and kind of hit the reset button a little bit. What is the mood inside the locker room with Coach Leipold and with the players that you've kind of seen visiting with them as they get set? I mean, are there daubers down or, hey, you know what? We still got a lot of season ahead. What's kind of the mood going into the Big 12 opener against West Virginia?
With Lance, it's, he said it multiple times that, if you want to blame somebody, blame me. Don't blame anybody else. And he said multiple times that there's a lot of season ahead, which he's absolutely correct. He said yesterday, like, the idea of a must win is not there yet. Like, we're not at that point. Like the minute we start thinking like that, then it puts a lot of pressure on us, blah, blah, blah. But with the players, you can definitely see they're frustrated. I think they get it. They understand it. They know it. They know that they probably should be 3-0 after these, 3 games. Like they know that, like they should probably be ranked if they could, be playing to their full potential. I think there's some frustration there, but also they also know, like conference play starts. It's basically a chance to really, like restart and become the best possible version of the team they can be. And, West Virginia is a solid team, but it's not, they're not world beaters up there. This is if Kansas goes to Morgantown and wins, that's a good win for Kansas, especially with the way they've been reeling.
Are you headed to Morgantown this week, Shreyas?
I hope so. We'll see. It's always tough to get down to Morgantown because you take that flight down to Pittsburgh and then it's an hour and a half drive, and it's not a fun drive, and it's not my favorite town either. But it's I'm always a big fan of covering KU football. So.
All right. Well, in safe travels if you get down there, and enjoy Morgantown as best you possibly can. Maybe you'll see a burning couch or something like that. You never know. That happens quite a bit in that town. But Shreyas Latta, KC Star, thank you so much for the time, Shreyas. Have a great rest of your week. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
Once again, that would be Shreyas Latta of the Kansas City Star joining us here on the Morning Blitz. Yeah, very good stuff from him. Look, if you're Kansas, When I picked them to be in the Big 12 title game against Utah when the season began, you kind of hope and pray that, the loss of Andy Koltanecki at the OC spot does not impact too much, and it has. It's impacted. Jeff Grimes has gotten into Jalen Daniels' head a little bit. Like Shreyas said, they're not taking the deep shots. They are taking the deep shots. They're not taking the intermediate shots. They're not utilizing Devin Neal in every facet of the way, and it's got inside Jalen Daniels' head, and that's resulted in turnovers and even worse, pick sixes at times. And you can't have that. You can't. There's no doubt. If you were to rank the problems for Kansas, number one is turnovers created by Jalen Daniels. That's number one. Number two, I know the defense has been good, and they are wearing down because of those turnovers and playing extra snaps. But there's some plays they got to get off the field, like right before half at UNLV. They got to get off the field. They can't give up a touchdown there. They can't give up an 18-play drive late in the fourth quarter. But once again, your offense not holding on to the ball and having to play extra snaps will hurt you. Turnovers are a killer. Not only do you give extra possessions to the other team, but it wears down your defense for later in the game when you need them. That has been an issue. The issues that have compiled for KU and have led to this start. Now, they've played some good teams. UNLV is a solid program, and so is Illinois this year. They're having good seasons. When you look at the schedule, they can win those games. Hey, you know what? That's why they played the game, and that's why you never know when you start a season out. You're like, well, maybe that should be a winnable game. But then you get to the game, you're like, you know what? This game's more tougher than I thought. And that's what's happening right now to Kansas. I still think Kansas is a good team. I saw them in the athletics rankings of 1 through 134. Remember, they're a top 20 team, top 25 team to start the year. They've dropped all the way down to like 55th. They're all the way down there. They have to get better protection of the football from their key player in Jalen Daniels. He does great things with his arm and with his legs. He has to protect the football. That should be number one. They got to find a way to get Devin Neal, I think, more involved consistently throughout the game. And that means running the football with the two tandem back they have in Highshaw and in Neal. Run the ball, shorten the game, keep the ball away from the opposition. Limit the amount of pressure putting on Jalen Daniels. Just let him be a facilitator and not have to be a massive playmaker, particularly with his arms, to get his confidence back up. They need that now. We'll see. Be a very good test at a tough place to play in Morgantown, West Virginia, coming up here this weekend. All right, let's get to a break. We'll come back. Some thoughts as we wrapped up week 2 on Monday Night Football, as well as a storyline in the NFL that I don't totally agree with. That's next here on the Morning Blitz.
They're having one hail of a sale at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. That's right, a hail sale where you can get massive savings on a new vehicle. For example, get a 23 GMC Sierra 1500 up to $20,000 off when you trade in eligible vehicle, now just over $37,000. A new 24 Chevy Tahoe RST, $13,000 off, now just over $59K. Plus 24 Chevy Traverse RS, $10,000 off, now just over $45,000. Plus many more. It's one hail of a sale at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Online at hurlchev.com.
Your Cheyenne County Hospital in St. Francis offers you a quality rehabilitation department. This includes a variety of staff that provides physical therapy, occupational therapy, aquatic therapy, speech therapy, and women's health. To schedule an appointment, call 785-332-2104. Again, that's 785-332-2104. The Cheyenne County Hospital on 210 West Street in St. Francis.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Progress in Education, brought to you by Progressive Insurance. The United Negro College Fund is celebrating 80 years of helping students get to and through college. Lisa Rollins, chief fundraiser, is happy to be supporting more than 600,000 students across the country.
80 years later, we're still trying to do the same thing. We're honoring their legacy, but we hope that our students are transforming the future.
We offer auto, home, and commercial auto insurance, plus a variety of business insurance options. Visit progressive.com today.
We could try to explain what it feels like to get your work done on a John Deere. The way a Z-Track mower finishes in half the time you thought it would. Or how much easier it is to move mountains of soil with a 1 Series tractor. We could even go into detail about how it feels to tow up to 4,000 pounds behind a Gator XUV. But if you really want to know what it's like to run with us, you just have to get in the seat. Learn more at johndeere.com/get-in-the-seat or visit a dealer near you.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery, ingestion, and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the Insurance Agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
The Farmers State Bank of Oakley has been financing agriculture since the day we opened our doors. Hello, this is Corbin, and we are proud to be your locally owned partner in ag. We invite you to come and visit with us when you need to purchase new or used farm equipment, or need any type of agriculture or business loan. We have the knowledge, experience, and financial resources to keep you growing. The Farmers State Bank of Oakley, a tradition of community and agriculture for over 115 years. Member FDIC.
Kickstart your day with the latest in sports.
Go Sports!
You're listening to the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Just a few minutes left to go before we're out of here on a Tuesday. Thanks again for tuning on in, no matter which way you're doing so. The radio, online, or, of course, the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream. Thank you so much for popping on by. Thanks again to Shreyas Lada as well for stopping by the program, giving us some great insight on KU football, which is off to an interesting start, to say the least. An unexpected 1-2 start, but there's still plenty of room in this season to make up for it and finish this year strong and still make my prediction correct. I think KU still has a chance to make the Big 12 title game if they want to put it all together starting now, and they have the pieces to do it. It's not like they don't have the pieces. It's not like they're outmanned. They just got to quit shooting themselves in the foot, and I think they're going to be fine. That's my opinion. Last night on Monday Night Football, the Falcons come back in the final, minute 45 to beat the Eagles 22-20 at Lincoln Financial Field there in Philadelphia. I saw this. There was a great stat. They always have that ESPN, it's that graph that shows win predictor probability, and it's like, oh, here's so-and-so, and here's what it looks like, and this is what, and so I saw this. I got to pull this up here real quickly. I had it bookmarked here on social media. The Falcons had a 0.7% chance of winning with just 1:56 left to go in the fourth quarter, but they found a way to do it because the Eagles helped them out. The Eagles decided to throw the ball on a third down and go for really the throat instead of running the ball. And if they didn't get it, the clock continued to run, which was really the biggest opponent for Atlanta. They threw the ball. It was dropped by Saquon Barkley. And I know he might have caught it, might have gone out of bounds accidentally. It was really close there. I don't know if I don't love the play call. I'd rather just run the ball, run the clock, and then have to force field goal if we don't get the first down. I guess I'd rather do that and give them less time to try to go down the field and score, though Atlanta made it look easy. Kirk Cousins, surgical in that final drive, takes them down. They take the win 22-21 and a Drake London touchdown catch from Kirk Cousins. But it's so funny because the narrative after the game, in particular with the talking heads on ESPN postgame, talking about how it saved the season for the Falcons. That drive saved the season for the Falcons. I'm sorry, are we in week 2? How in the world is 2 games in, no matter if you're 0-2, 2-0, 1-1, it doesn't matter. How does that save or hurt your season no matter what happened in that game? It does not make a whole lot of sense. There is tons of time to make up for a bad start. There's tons of time to blow a great start. There's tons of time to find your footing and get it right. I do not understand why they think the season was saved. I mean, were they thinking, well, if they lose this game, I know Kirk Cousins did not look good in the first half, and he definitely found it in the second half. Maybe they meant by that, well, he's going to save Kirk Cousins' job before they go to Michael Penix. I don't know what they're thinking there. It's too early in the year to have all of a sudden say, well, it's over. Let's just forget about the season. We're 2 games in. That's ridiculous. There's things that can be done to try with that many games left to try and get things figured out, in my opinion. Just I don't know. The season saved? No, I am certainly not on that. If they would have lost it, you're 0-2, you try to get it back. And right now, Atlanta with a big win. If you're in Philadelphia, you're 1-1, it's not the end of the world. You'll figure it out. It's going to be okay. All right, get to the walk-off.
A 3-run walk-off home run. A game-winning walk-off with a walk-off. His second walk-off hit of the season. In walk-off fashion, that baby's go.
And of course, is the season over in Carolina? And they're talking about that now because apparently Carolina says we're going to bench the number 1 pick we gave up a whole lot of draft capital for in Bryce Young. We're done with him. We're moving on. I don't want to say they're completely done with him, but they're moving on. They're going to Andy Dalton this weekend. This goes back to the conversation we had yesterday with Nick Athen. You can be an extremely talented quarterback. If you don't have a line, a running game, or wide receivers or tight ends to throw to, it does not matter. Quarterbacks get all the love. They also get all the hate. When it is a true team game, the game of football, all the pieces have to work together in order to have success. Do your job, as they always like to say. Well, it's hard for Bryce Young to do his job when he doesn't have any passing. He's always, he has really not any great targets to throw to. The running game is non-existent in his offensive line. And not to mention, he's got an owner that is just crazy in David Tepper. It's hard for me to think, but this is probably, is it the beginning of the end for Bryce Young already? We're not even 2 years, full years into his career. I don't know. I would be demanding a trade, getting out of there and getting somewhere I can get reset and refocused, because that whole Carolina deal is a dumpster fire. Dumpster fire. Feel bad for Bryce Young. I think he's a good quarterback. Things just are not in his favor at this point in time when it comes to the franchise that he's playing for and the pieces around him. That'll do it for our show. Thanks again to Shreyas Lada. Thanks to you for listening. We're back again tomorrow in 23 hours on a Wednesday. We'll see you then. It's been the Morning Blitz.